Hi, I'm Phil and welcome to my channel. Now, regular visitors will know that I'm a big fan of the speed and street triple range. I actually own a 1050S, a 2016 model, which I absolutely love. Now, back in 2021, when the 1200 RS was just released, I was fortunate enough to take one out for an afternoon. Now, almost 2 years to that day, Triumph UK have kindly loaned me another 1200 RS, this time for a few weeks, so I can really get to grips with this bike and see what I really think of it. So am I going to love it as much as my own bike? Well, stick around and let's find out. So as I mentioned in my intro, Triumph UK kindly lent me his 1200 RS for a few weeks, 15 days to be precise, and I was keen, whatever the weather, to put it through its paces and find out if it was a worthy contender to maybe one day replace my Speed Triple 1050S. Now, back in 2021, when I published my first video about this bike, I thought the updated Speed Triple looks more like the Street Triple, and I still think that today. So it's important for me to put all that behind me and just enjoy the bike for what it is, ride it and get a good understanding if it would be suitable for my style of riding. So as soon as I took delivery of the bike, I was out in the evenings getting a feel for it, which really didn't take long, as this bike is just so easy to ride, despite the incredible 1200 engine, which is 1160cc to be exact. If you want a smooth and safe progressive ride, then this bike is more than capable. And as I was to find out later, once you start winding this bike up and getting the power into the 7.5 to 8,000 RPM range, it then becomes a different machine. More of that later. For now, I was happy tipping into the bends and having a comfortable, safe but fun ride. As you just saw, when it comes to overtaking, this bike makes it easy. You just line the bike up, apply enough power to instantly pass the vehicle in front of you without going crazy with the throttle, and then back off and the engine braking drops your speed back down. It's just effortless, and the bike is designed not to behave like an animal. If you take a look at the rev counter, I didn't push it over 6,000 RPM, but the acceleration was still incredibly insane. The sharp-eyed ones amongst you may have noticed that I was backing off the throttle just a touch before using the shift assist to change gear. Now, in theory, I should have been able to keep the throttle wide open and shift through the gears, but it didn't want to know, so just the lightest of touches on the throttle sorted this out. But I have to say, Triumph have absolutely nailed the shift assist. Out of all the bikes I have ridden, the Triumph shift assist is without doubt the smoothest. So after a few evening rides, I was keen to have a full day in the saddle, which, incidentally, is 830mm high. The day of my long ride and the UK was hit with very high winds, but I decided to soldier on and make my way into Kent with no particular destination in mind, as I just wanted to ride. I did notice there were quite a few branches laying in the road which had been blown down by the high winds, so I kept my ride sensible and just kept riding all day and having fun on the bike. I should point out that I had my camera bag on my back, which at times can be the same weight as a small child, so don't be too judgmental on my riding. By late afternoon I was ready for some food, and I remembered passing the quaint village of Biddenden, so I made my way there to grab a cappuccino and a wicked jacket potato with some fabulous toppings. Now, if you have never been to Kent, then make sure you add it to your list and stop by the Bakehouse Cafe. The food is amazing and so is the setting. Fortunately for me, because it was the end of the day and they were about to close, the owners didn't mind me parking right outside the front and grabbing some video and images of the Speed Triple. And as you know, I do like to find a colour coordinated backdrop. So then I was back on the road. I did another couple of hours of riding before making my way back to Essex. I do absolutely love using cruise control, which I don't have on my own bike. At the end of a full day's riding, having cruise control, especially when you're on the motorway, is a godsend. Just make sure the bike is in third gear or higher and press the button to set your speed. Then you can relax while listening to your favourite music through your car dial. I arrived home at 7:26 after spending about 8 hours out and about. And I have to say, the Speed Triple 1200 RS really is a comfortable bike, like really comfortable. I could have easily ridden for longer, but I knew I had an early start at a hot rod event the next morning. Now I've already published a video about that, so please go check it out if you haven't seen it already. Now a few days later I had the idea of comparing the Speed Triple 1200 RS with the 2023 Street Triple 765 RS, which, as you may know, has gone through another redesign. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on that video, which will be coming very soon. In that video, I'll probably give you a bit more spec about the two bikes, but as you know, I like to give you my own subjective views on how a bike feels to ride, rather than just reel off the spec sheet. So by now I've ridden the bike in the dry and reasonably warm weather, but how would it behave in the wet, especially as it's fitted with Pirelli Diablo Supercorsa tyres, which aren't known to be a favourite tyre choice for wet conditions. As always, I'm going to be very honest, and I was actually pleasantly surprised by how well the Pirelli's gripped and the confidence I got while riding in the rain. Now I will come back to this in a moment. The day started with some very light rain, so I decided to wear my waterproofs over my leathers and to get out my waterproof gloves from Dainese. I switched the riding mode to rain and took it easy, as the last thing I wanted was to lose the front in the wet. I rode for about 2 hours through Essex and into Suffolk and made my way to Crazy Horse at Bury St Edmunds, and the bike was a joy to ride in the rain. I had no issues. Now, how much do you enjoy riding in the rain? I must admit it doesn't bother me too much, especially if it's just for a day. Let me know in the comments if you are a fair weather rider or enjoy riding in all conditions. By the time I left Crazy Horse, it was absolutely chucking it down, and little did I know that the rain was about to get even heavier. I kept my riding smooth and all seemed fine. Then later in the day, as I was having a progressive ride, as I would on my 1050S, I felt the rear wheel spin up a couple of times, but the traction control system kicked in and the bike handled it without any issues. On my old Suzuki, the traction control light would flicker on and off all the time as it did its job in the wet, but Triumphs are different and you really don't notice when it's doing its job. In this case, I felt the power drop as I sensed the rear wheel spin, so well done Triumph for putting together such an awesome electronics package. For my style of riding, I would consider swapping out the tyres for Michelin Road 6s, so I can have the confidence of riding in all conditions. Now, I love to know your thoughts and experiences about tyre choices. Just before I left Crazy Horse, I contacted someone I met at the Bike Shed show, Rachel from Valkyrie Paintworks, as I was hoping to meet up with her on my way home. And she invited me to drop by a little car and bike meet she had organised.
Look at Rachel, come along, meet up, see some cars, see some bikes. Have a wonderful day.
So is this your bike or you got it on some sort of test?
This is from Triumph UK, on the loan.
I love the colour.
And you were saying that this was the first bike that you guys painted.
Gary, you need to
A Valkyrie. I should get my proper camera out and we'll do something.
explain the CD to us.
Yeah, I'll get my other camera out.
I didn't really get too much footage, to be honest, as the weather was dreadful. But do make sure you go check them out on Instagram, especially if you're looking for someone to paint your bike. Apparently this won the competition at the Bike Shed, is that correct? Yeah. Awesome. Look at that. Because out in the rain on an award-winning bike. Now let's talk about winding the bike up. As I keep saying about this bike, it is effortless to ride and easily controllable. But when you do decide to give it some throttle and you hit the 7,500 to 8,000 RPM range, the bike just takes off and you seriously have to hold on. If you then decide at that stage to give it even more throttle, you'll find the front becomes light and could easily come off the ground and just hover. And although the bike has switched to missile mode, it still doesn't behave like an animal. It's just incredibly fast but still smooth. The bike does actually have front wheel lift control, which I didn't explore, but it does work extremely well. If you want to wind the bike up, you'll find it is more than capable of reaching 70 miles an hour in first gear. I do personally like the old style gauges, but this TFT has grown on me and I soon embraced it. It's worth pointing out that I didn't notice any glare on the screen, which I've had with other bikes. You can also connect your phone and your GoPro to the TFT, and it offers turn-by-turn navigation, which I didn't set up. While I'm at it, let me mention a few other features which I really liked on the 1200 RS. The clutch assist. As soon as you start to let the clutch out, the revs pick up just a little bit, which makes it near impossible to stall the bike. Brakes are Brembo Stylema, which we all know are amazing. But did you know that Triumph have added a linked braking system, which means if you apply a touch of front brake, it automatically applies a touch of rear brake at the same time, which is seriously impressive. The bike has so many new electronic features, like switchable optimised cornering traction control, which ensures the optimum braking and traction performance at any lean angle. I didn't get around to exploring this in detail, but it works. And I'm pretty certain the 1200 RS has everything on it that you could ever possibly want, except maybe a sexy looking exhaust, but let's not go there. So a lot of my Instagram followers have asked me if I would give up my 1050S for the 1200 RS. If you asked me that before I had the bike for 15 days, my answer would have been no. But now, after spending some time on the bike, I would seriously consider this as a replacement if I was looking and if I had the money. The on-the-road price, by the way, starts at £15,795. And if I was to buy a 1200 RS, I would love to personalise the bike. I'd commission Valkyrie Paintworks to create a custom finish, and I'd swap out the exhaust system for something a little sexier. But if you wasn't living in a dream world like I do, this is one awesome bike, seriously worth considering. I must say a massive thank you to Triumph UK for loaning me this bike. I've had a fantastic time on it, and I'm a little bit reluctant to let it go back, but it has to go back. Now I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. As always, please engage, leave a comment and give a like. And if you haven't subscribed, then please subscribe and hit the notification bell too. Stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you all in my next video very soon. Subscribe, like and comment.